Hello and welcome to this first edition of the Carport Crag. I had some friends round the other day and we were talking about multi-pitch climbing and about how difficult it is to get some of the skills that you need in order to go climbing on multi-pitch routes, especially if you live in Norfolk like we do. So we had a time together where we looked at some stuff that was kind of common skills that you might want before you go out on the crag. Now, none of this is any substitute for actually getting a proper instructor and going out on the crag with an instructor or with someone who's got a lot of experience. But I'd just like to go through over a series of 5-minute videos some of the things that I think that are really important and some basic skills that are helpful to know before you go out. So the first one is the Rethreaded Figure of 8. And that's the knot that probably everybody who's ever climbed knows how to tie onto a harness with. The second one is the Clove Hitch, and so we'll go through how to tie a Clove Hitch and how to do that fairly efficiently. And then the third one is an Italian hitch, and the fourth one is a normal or French Prusik. So really quickly we'll go through all of those. Hope that you enjoy the video. Okay, so the first one that I'm going to go through is the Rethreaded Figure of 8 or the double figure of 8. First thing to do is to get the length right. So I use from my thumb all the way up to my far away shoulder, take a loop, and I've got a short hand on my right hand. I then take the short end, wrap it all the way around so it comes to me, and then away from me, point to me, through the loop, and then you get an 8. See? Just like that. Then got to readjust it again so that my thumb is on my far away shoulder, so same length all up there. So, and that always lets me know that I'm going to have just enough to go through the harness. So the next thing that I need to do is to thread it through the harness. So it goes through, for me, I always go through the bottom loop first and then go through the waistband loop. So essentially the same place as your harness loop has gone, you follow that. Then essentially all you do is you follow from your harness the rope as it goes through the 8. So, okay, and you want to make sure that that's snugged up, really neat, nice neat knot. A knot that's not neat is not a knot. And you go round once, twice, and thread that through so that your stopper knot is nice and snug up against your double figure of 8. And you can see that that's a nice figure of 8 doubled up and with a nice stopper knot on it as well. So Clove Hitch is the next one that I'd like to show you, and Clove Hitch is really quite an important knot because it helps you to tie your rope into pretty much anything, like an anchor or anywhere that you've got a carabiner, you can tie yourself in fairly quickly to it. So you make yourself a Q where the horizontal rope goes over, you make yourself a P where the vertical rope goes over, over and over, slide one behind the other, and then you clip it onto something. Do that one more time. Make yourself a Q where the horizontal goes over, make yourself a P where the vertical goes over, one goes behind the other, and then you've got your Clove Hitch. Clip it onto something. It's not a knot until it's tied onto something. So the next one I'm going to show you is very similar, but it's called an Italian hitch, and it's a knot that you can use to belay someone down with, you can belay someone up with. It's a movable hitch. Starts the same, so you do yourself a Q where the horizontal goes over, you do yourself a P where the vertical goes over, so vertical goes over, horizontal goes over, Q, P, but instead of sliding them behind like you did with the Clove Hitch, you fold them over like a book and then you clip them in, all the bits into something. You get yourself a hitch, which as you see, you can move up and down and you can essentially belay someone on that. So the last knot that I'm going to show you is a Prusik, which is something that will slide in one direction along a rope, but will tie up and go tight in the other direction. And it's formed just by a number of loops around the main rope that you're climbing on. Okay, so what you'll need is you'll need a piece of accessory cord. So either 5 or 6 mil. I think 6 mil is probably best in most climbing settings. And It's about 60 centimeters, maybe 70 centimeters long, and then tied with a double fisherman's. That's another knot that maybe you might want to learn at some point. But essentially, ends up about 30 centimeters long, looped over. In order to make a Prusik, fairly straightforward, you put your knot at the top. I always put it at the top anyway, and just wrap it round a number of times, however many times it needs in order to wrap tight. And as you can see, just tie it up nice and tight. And now the French Prusik is the top and the bottom. You just take a carabiner, you clip it through both of them like that. And as you can see, that will tighten up on the rope in that direction, but it will slide up the rope when you need it to. All sorts of uses that you can think that might have. Okay, so it can go down the rope if you release it, but if you pull it tight, then it will lock up, or it can go up the rope, but if you pull it tight, it will lock up. You can go down the rope if you release it, it will go tight. Okay, so I hope that you've liked this video. Fairly short and sweet. I'm looking at these 4 things: tying a double figure of 8, tying a clove hitch, tying an Italian hitch, and tying a Prusik. With those 4 knots, you can get all sorts of different uses out of them when you're in climbing situation. And I think if you're going to go out and do a multi-pitch climb, then you need to know all 4 before you set off. So if you've liked this video, please do give me a thumbs up. If you don't like it and you want to put a comment in, then please put a comment in the comments box. This is the first, and I hope that there'll be other ones that will come. Thanks ever so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.